Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? If you guys don't know, my name is Felix. I'm here with Ledger to let you know or help you with any questions you might have about Ledger. I think first things first, I always mention please, please, please don't give out your recovery phrase. Don't sign any transactions you don't trust. Yeah, we may as well get into all the questions. Definitely let me know if there's any issues with the audio or anything like that. But let's first start with just have fun. You've got a question here. You mentioned, is it normal for Ledger Live to show more of a coin on the graph and later shows the right amount? And would this affect tax stuff show more than I have? Thanks. If you're having issues with the balance in Ledger Live in particular, it wouldn't be something that I would expect to affect any tax stuff, because with tax, you'd probably be expecting something to be expecting them to be checking what's happening on chain as opposed to anything within Ledger Live itself, for example. So if I understand the question correctly, I wouldn't expect that to be the case. For it to be affected, show more than I have. With regards to it showing more than you might actually have, the main thing I'd be double checking is if you have a synchronization error. Normally, be something like clearing the cache. At worst, re-adding the account, but that's not generally. That might be a bit more of an extreme case with regards to that. So you can normally check what account it is as well, just to see if there's a specific error message that you're getting there, and you'll see how you can double check that as well. That's probably the main thing that I think about there for you. Just have fun. Next up was Mandeep Sandhu. You had a question. You didn't add Near wallet in Ledger Live Mobile, and it's showing you 504. I see you added some more stuff later. You mentioned, oh, okay, the same thing. Would you mean to say that you had added the account in Ledger Live, but you can't add it on mobile? I mean, that you can't add it on desktop, but you can't add it on mobile? Something more along those lines. Generally, I just had to double check off the top of my head. 504 would be gateway timeout, so it might be something to do with network connectivity issues, something like that. If I just actually double check right now, we can also double check if there's any ongoing outage or anything like that. I don't think that there's the case. Normally, so you can see here, this is status.ledger.com, and you can check with regards to if there's any outages. I don't think there's any ones for Near at the moment, as you can see here. Main things there then would be to make sure you've updated your Ledger Live mobile as well, and maybe double check with VPNs too. I think I didn't mention it before. You can always get a hold of us, support.ledger.com, and then you can just use the button that you can just see here on the bottom right hand side to contact us as well if you're still having issues. So just making sure everything's up to date, checking if there's anything with the VPN, anything like that. If you are running a VPN, and seeing how you go from there, Mandeep. But yeah, definitely let us know. Next up, we had Joel Redondo. You asked, my ETH for gas fees of 1 inch token on Ethereum network, okay, on Ethereum mainnet, I'm assuming, on my Legend NOx is not detected. How can I pull out to transfer on another wallet? What is the problem? Having a think through what you've said, I would say it's more in line with the fact that your gas fees would need to be, so your ETH would need to be in the same address as the token that you're wanting to send. So if you, let's say, have like one address for your 1 inch token and another address for your ETH, then you'd want to make sure the ETH is at the same address. That'd be the main thing that I'd be thinking of there. Joel. Remember, it's not on the device, of course. It's only the recovery phrase that's specifically on the device, basically. And then, your assets are more on chain. But yeah, it would sound like you would just need ETH at that specific address, that the 1 inch is, and then you can manage the assets as you normally would, whether that's send, receive, if you want to swap with a service provider like 1 inch or something like that. Okay, next up, hello, Linwood Jones, a familiar face here. Mandeep, definitely let me know as well if that answers your question, and we'll keep going. Next up, we had Marcel B. When will the ledger stacks be sent out? Already waiting for a very long time. Yeah, I totally understand that. There's no specific update that I would have for you in particular. So definitely keep an ear out for that one for sure. We'll try to keep you guys updated, especially being that you've all pre-ordered the device. So keep an ear out for us reaching out to you. Kirk Welk, you've got a question here. Hi there. I need to transfer coins between 2 different ledgers. Okay. I'm going to touch on that in a second, but can I have 2 ledgers connected to the same computer so I can copy and paste addresses between them? Thanks. Okay, so you can definitely use 2 ledgers with the same instance of Ledger Live and therefore the same computer. Multiple devices. There is actually an article about this that I always like to try and go through each article because my colleagues definitely have spent a lot of time trying to write everything out. So 100%, you can definitely use the devices between 2 devices with the same computer. If the recovery phrases, though, which is what I wanted to touch on before, are derived from the if they're both set up with the same recovery phrase, let's put it that way, there wouldn't necessarily be a need to transfer between the 2 because the recovery phrase is the same. Okay, no, they are different. Okay, if they're different, yeah, you could send them as you normally would. You could copy and paste them between the 2 addresses and go from there. So you might go through and you set up you go through the receive process on one end. Not receive, like where you get your address that the receiving address is going to be, and then you just go through the send process and go from there. You wouldn't connect them at the same time though, because you'd want to you first get the address that you're receiving to, so like it's 0xa is the address that you're receiving to, and then when you send, you connect the sending device and then go from there. So hopefully, so maybe if I put it in terms of if you're sending from account B to address A, to account A, first you connect device A, making sure you get the address, and then you go to the send on account B, and then you connect device B to send to account A. Hopefully that makes sense. But just make sure you use the corresponding device for the account that it is for, and you should be good to go from there. Yeah, but definitely let me know if you're having any trouble, but that should be the basic steps there for that one. Kirk. Next up, hello, will the stacks be released soon? Again, no specific update, and for I see when stacks for Mike, so I don't have any specific details on my end. MH, when will Solana transactions be fixed? Is there a date yet? My understanding is that there has to be a fix on Solana's side because it is not only with regards to priority fees, but it is going to be something to do with the what is it called? The protocol itself as well. But in the meantime, I'll never be able to give you guys a specific time frame or anything. But yeah, you can always use a third-party wallet in this case as I'm sure you've heard either me say or one of my colleagues in emails or live chat or something like that. But yeah, sorry, I wouldn't be able to say a specific time or anything there. Next up, we had Tom Crown. Hey, Ledger, I had an affiliate account back when they were done via a seed key. Am I still able to access that? That wouldn't be something I'd know off the top of my head. I'd probably have to have a chat with some of the guys internally about that. Not something that I know about or remember. So what if you want to raise a case with us, support.ledger.com, put in the contact us button here, and then actually if you get through and are going to send us an email, pop the case number in the chat here, and then I'll have a chat internally and see what that might entail and things like that. So if you want to do that, or you might be able to get through to someone that can help you straight away as well. But I'm not, I wouldn't know straight off the top of my head there for that one, Tom. But yeah, definitely let us know. There we go. Next up, Watch Tech asking about the stacks as well. Yeah, definitely. I understand. We're just trying to make sure that the product is the best it can be before I get us out to you guys. I'm sure you've heard that from us before. If you needed a refund for the device as well, it's definitely something you can do as well. But again, I think I said before, keep your ear to the ground. We'll definitely be shouting out updates from the rooftops the moment we know more. Dirty has asked, why do I need to enable blind signing in order to transact on QuickSwap? Is it safe? Now, I'm going to go through, maybe I'm going to ramble a little bit about blind signing because I think it's really interesting, but essentially it's needing to enable it because it might be a specific type of transaction that might have, parameters that might not be part of a standardized, a standard, so to speak, right? Does it make it instantaneously not safe? No, not necessarily. I think I heard someone internally mention it as, I don't know if I should be saying it like this, but unsafe sex, right? Obviously, it's something that could be quite enjoyable, and when you're I've used QuickSwap before as well, and it's I like using it too. But yeah, blind signing would be something that maybe part of the transaction has parameters that might not be able to be passed by the ledger device, to be more specific. So why do you need to enable it? It's just to be able to sign the transaction. But what would happen is that you won't be able to check the exact transaction parameters, like how much you're sending, how much you're swapping for, things like that, on the screen on the ledger device. All right. So what does that entail? What does that mean then? Then you're going to want to make sure that you trust the place that you're signing the transaction with. So you want to make sure that you're signing with the real QuickSwap. It's not going to be some fake or something like that. You can check the domain name, things like that. But yeah, that's going to be the main thing that I'd be thinking about in particular when you're signing transactions, and also that there might not be some malware on your not the ledger device, but which wouldn't be happening, but more so your computer as well. So those would be the two big things I'd be thinking about with regards to blind signing. To be honest, I have it enabled pretty much all the time. Because I do a lot of like random swaps and things like that. But yeah, it's something to consider. Make sure you're on the right website, and you generally should be safe. But also always double check everything, and always try to clear sign everything if you can. I think that's the big part there as well. Next up was Mark. Does the Ledger Nano X support ENJ and Arweave tokens? If not, when will they be? So can never say when, but I always like to show this part of the support center in terms of what specifically is going to be supported. So in terms of Arweave, I remember it is supported. It isn't listed up here though. And also in terms of Arweave, if we would support the token with this contract address. Arweave has support, but not within Ledger Live in particular as well, and not for Ledger Nano X, unfortunately. Arweave token, Mark, that you mentioned, yes, definitely supported on Ethereum mainnet, not for Ledger Nano X on Arweave natively at this stage. ENJ, though, let me pop back over and check. And we'll have a look at that for you. ENJ, yeah, Polygon. You can see here, Ethereum mainnet, BSC, Tron supported. So you can always double check everything that you want there. All right. Next up was F. Quite a few questions. I might not be able to keep rambling. F has asked, you keep receiving NFTs in your Ledger Live, and you cannot hide as no option to hide available, no 3 dots in account mode. I'm gonna do this again because I'm gonna pop over to my instance of Ledger Live. I'll have to add an account, and I'm going to add a I'm going to add a Polygon account. 3 dots is missing the 3 dots is very interesting because I normally just right click to hide. Let me get my Polygon account added because I would assume there's going to be quite a few NFTs on Polygon that are spam. Boom, boom. Okay. Let's have a look under the account. So let's just try having a look there. And there we go. So if I wanted to hide this one, because I've never heard of this one, I would just hide it with the hide collection NFT. I wouldn't use, I'm not normally using anything like that. But if you wanted to find the 3 buttons there, you can also hide it there. You might need to click further in terms of going through and hiding those NFTs if that's the case there. F. Not sure if that's what you're missing, but also there would be more specific instructions on a help center as well, which I will always continue to shill to. All right. Next up, the Kirk. Yep. Hopefully, yeah. If you have any more questions, Kirk, definitely let me know. Boom. Mike Amin, Ledger Stacks 2024 release date. No specifics on that at this stage for you, mate. Sorry. Dirty. Will all transactions still have to be signed for on device if blind signing is enabled? All transactions will still have to be signed on the device, even if blind signing is enabled. That's correct, yes. So no matter what, you're going to have to sign with the device. If you import your recovery phrase somewhere else, then that other place can sign the transactions, but we would never recommend that at all. So yeah, you would always sign with your device anyway. Akshara, I have the Phantom wallet that I want to use in with Ledger Live, but the Solana public key of Ledger doesn't show up in the Phantom wallet. I sent some coins to the Phantom wallet, so what can I do? Okay, my first thing then would be what this public key, this Solana public key that you're using, is it the address that's derived from, and I'm just going to put up a random article here, but is it the public key that's derived from the recovery phrase from Phantom? Or would it be from the recovery phrase, derived from the recovery phrase that's set up on the Ledger device? So you wouldn't necessarily be expecting that the Phantom wallet would you'd just be able to put the specific address into Ledger Live. You would want to generally be expecting to set up the Ledger device add the account, and that account that you have in Ledger Live is the one that's derived from the recovery phrase on the Ledger device specifically. So what can you do? Since you sent some coins already, I'm assuming SPL tokens to the Phantom wallet, I would actually first make sure that your the account that you have in Phantom is the one that you've added with your Ledger device. Let me check if you answered. Nope. So you would want to basically connect your Ledger device, and then you can use you can add. I think it's the burger here. It's called to add an account, and you can find the full steps here. Once you've added it, it should either be the same address that you'd expect in Ledger Live, and you can send it to that address in particular. So yeah, I really hope that's helpful with that one. Remember that the one that the 12-word recovery phrase that you have would have been on a computer before. So I tried to add it, but it hasn't worked out. So what would you mean by not worked out? Is like not the same address, I'm assuming, right? Because if you added the Solana address account into Phantom and it's not the same address, that would infer to me that you're using a different recovery phrase that they're derived from different recovery phrases, and you just need to I cannot see this Ledger address. You cannot see the Ledger address in Phantom, I'm assuming. It's only the Phantom Sol address. Yeah, so it sounds like it's the recovery phrase that's derived from the one on Phantom. So you wouldn't be able to see that in Ledger Live at all, and we wouldn't expect that to be the case unless an unrecommended move would be if you set up your Ledger device with the recovery phrase that Phantom gives you. So you would just be instead sending it to the address that the Ledger device would derive. Remember that two separate recovery phrases, they derive totally different addresses and public-private key pairs. So that's kind of how that would be. Just send them over. But considering that, that's why we like to have articles about using third-party wallets, because currently you wouldn't be able to use SPL tokens directly within Ledger Live. So even I would be using Phantom if I'm, let's say, for example, sending USDC on Solana, something like that. But I would be using the Ledger derived address from the recovery phrase that's on my Ledger device. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Sorry, it can't be like, we can't just add it in, but there is an unrecommended way if you do insist that that's what you wanted to do as well. But generally not recommended because it may not be secure. I don't think Solana will fix their stuff for Ledger. I mean, if you want to go into more detail there, Mike. Mandeep, looks like, okay, I've got a ticket number from you. I'll pop that into what is it, the word? I'll pop that into a text file here, and I'll have a look at that later as well. All right, next up was when LL support for Beam and Crown by Third Time Games. Can never ask when, can never answer when. You can always ask, of course. We actually note that so that we know what you guys are after. Let me check right off the top of my head, because yeah, Beam, Crown, not something that I'm directly aware of. I'm assuming they're tokens on some EVM chain. Probably not that, but probably that, I'm assuming, right? So if it's this token, then it would be supported on Ethereum mainnet in particular. Again, Crown, I'm not 100% sure either. But if you mean that one, then there is a potential support for that one too. Depeche Mode, when will the Ledger Stacks come out? I don't have a date for that one, unfortunately. Anthony, if I delete old assets on my Nano, so remember the assets aren't on the Ledger device itself. One of the big things that I always always try to mention as well, because it's only the recovery phrase that's on the device, and then like you would be the assets are technically on chain in particular. Check this out, the Ledger Academy. If you want, the Ledger Academy is has a lot of information about that too. But kind of, I'm probably kind of missing the point here. Boom. If I delete my old assets, so I'm assuming you might mean even reset the Ledger device. Or you could be removing the account. Will the CSV file stay on the device? No, the CSV file is generated specifically, and it's on your computer. So if you've generated it before, then you uninstall Ledger Live, for example, that will still stay there because that's your CSV file on your computer. But delete old. I gotta figure out. I'm trying to think if you delete old assets on my Ledger Nano. So if you reset the device, the CSV file. So just maybe I'll put it more in terms of the transactions will definitely stay there because they're on chain, and that won't change and will never change. Stay on the device, or will it delete also? But yeah, it definitely won't delete any extra file, and it won't delete the transaction history. You can always generate that on the fly, that CSV, if you're talking about export history. Rex Saws, another familiar face. Will Ledger be supporting the Polkadot airdrop for dead token? That is actually something that is not currently supported, because you won't be able to sign transactions for the specific thing that you'd be needing to have 0.1 dot on, if I remember correctly. I'm just trying to see. I'm actually going to look up the requirements now, but it is something that I know that the devs are aware of and they want to work on, and they are actually working on them currently. So you might, if you do have assets for, I think it's like Polkadot Asset Hub that you needed it for in particular. Let me just scroll down and I'll get it. Boom. Snapshot occurred, but to be able to receive the dead airdrop, those eligible will also have to have received 0.01 dot on the Polkadot Asset Hub, which is a parachain on Polkadot in particular. Polkadot app that we support on Ledger Live, on Ledger devices, is the relay chain in particular. Like I said, it's something we're looking into, but you can also always check on Subscan if you have that 0.01. But yeah, it's definitely something that they're looking into for sure. All right, let me get my place again. My name is Sanley says, wow, the sports website is extensive. They definitely have, I mean, my colleagues have definitely worked very hard on it, so definitely have a look. Yeah, I definitely try to shill it quite a bit as well. And obviously you have this page there as well. Next up, can you confirm the QuickSwap web address? I would be checking normally this. So this is how I'll do it. Let's say if I was doing it for the first time, I'll be like, okay, I'll type it into Google. I'll be like, okay, I've got QuickSwap here. I'm not going to swap anything, so I'm just going to pop this through. This might be it, and then maybe you can close this or go to another tab, for example, and then maybe I'll go to the Twitter page. I'll double check Twitter. I'll double check if the GitHub links back and everything like that, and just try to get as many reference points as possible. So that's kind of how I would do it. It looks like, because I don't want to confirm for you, it looks like QuickSwap.exchange, but again, I'd really want you to double check for yourself as well. Akshara, sorry, okay. Akshara, yes, Phantom. I think I covered most of that, but yeah, definitely let me know if you continue to have any trouble. And next up would be Muhammad. Sorry, not sure if it's been asked, but will Ledger support the Polkadot airdrop of dead? Yeah, that definitely was answered, but it is not the specific relay. No, the parachain that you're supposed to have assets on is not supported. but it is something we are looking into at the moment and trying to progress with that one in particular. Next up was Depeche Mode. How can we see the specific keys of our assets, such as Ethereum? You wouldn't be able to see them for your private keys. Your private keys would never be, exported or anything like that. If you mean the addresses, you would just go through the receive process in Ledger Live, but you definitely wouldn't be able to see the private keys from the device itself. Is there a way to do that? There is, 100%. I would preface this by saying, of course, we never recommend this, and that it can lead to a compromise of the assets, right? But if you wanted to do it, there might be something called like the Ian Coleman tool, for example. Again, not recommended, could be dangerous, but that is something that you might want to use in very specific examples. Now, why would you want to do that to get the private key though? I don't know. There might be some instances where you might not be able to broadcast transactions with the specific Ledger application. Maybe it's a pretty niche case, to be frank. I understand the private key is ours, but what about the crypto key? I'm not sure what you mean by the crypto key in particular. Do you mean like the recovery phrase? Which definitely also can't be taken from the device. It'd be something you'd have to have recorded separately. If that's what you mean, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe we'll have to expand on that one, Depeche Mode. But if it's the recovery phrase, it's only shown once when you set up the device for the first time, and then the specific crypto. I think you answered it. Okay, definitely let me know, because it can be hard trying to engage like this as well. But yeah, definitely let me know if you had any more questions. Next up was Dirty. You've asked, if I swap Polygon for Kulo on QuickSwap, how do I view the tokens once the swap is made? Okay, my favorite way to do this, because let's say I've never heard of this the specific token you've mentioned, but it might not be supported in Ledger Live. Let's say maybe it is. Okay, it is. Let's say let's pretend for a moment that it might not be. You can check it with something like Polygon Scan, which is a if I pop over here, Polygon Scan, which would be a way that you can check transaction IDs and things like that, and what's been confirmed on chain. This is a really important part of. Let me go into dark mode if I can. But this is something that's really important if you're going to be like managing things on chain. You want to always be double checking things. It's definitely something I use all the time. Now, if you're doing some with it, once you've made it with made the swap with QuickSwap, I don't think it's something that's supported in Ledger Live directly. Let me pop back over and double check. Let's go discover QuickSwap. Okay, yeah, it's not something that's supported directly in Ledger Live. So I'm assuming that you're doing this in a browser, for example, a browser extension, right? And you're logging in with the browser extension, something like Tahoe, Rabby, MetaMask, something like that. If it's an account that you've added from the Ledger device onto those third-party applications, you might just see it appear within Ledger Live if it's supported. If it's not, then you might just need to be using the third-party application to manage the token as well. But generally speaking, especially with DEXs like QuickSwap, the swap should come pretty much immediately, or when the transaction is confirmed, and you'll be able to see it on either with whatever supported wallet that you might be using. My name is Stanley. Will iOS, iPad OS support direct USB-C connection to be added? Not as far as I'm aware. That one, I think, is an iOS Apple blocker, if I understand correctly. Dirty. Oh, just to follow up. No using wallet connect with Ledger device. Yeah, you're still going to see it directly within within your Ledger account. I'm assuming you're going to swap it directly back into your Ledger account, Ledger address. So you should be able to see that once the transaction is confirmed, as long as the token is supported. And we double checked when I go back over. It looked like it was on Polygon. Okay, let's keep going. When I should be able to read Chinese, but I don't. When will my stacks be shipped? Is a question here that I've got. I don't have a date for you, unfortunately, at this stage. Next up, oh, I nearly missed you, Feng Li. I'm storing ICP with the ledger manager address. If the company goes bankrupt, how will I restore the wallet containing ICP? The company going bankrupt doesn't preclude you from broadcasting transactions with the ledger device. But again, let's say it's years and years down the line as well. Let's say even the application is out of date, everything like that. You would always have your recovery phrase to be able to input into any compatible wallet to be able to manage your assets. That would be how that would work. So the recovery phrase is the main thing that you're going to want to keep secure, keep safe, and never share that with anyone in particular. Next up, yes, Sweet and Sour. Hello, thank you for your questions. You've got a question here, Sweet and Sour. How can we verify the coins we buy from an exchange is legit? How can we verify if the transfer to a Ledger NanoX is also legit? How can we verify the coins on our NanoX? One of the main things here is, I think one of the things you'll see here is that each contract, you'll see contract addresses for each token. I can go here, let's say I just had Polygon scan on the other screen. So let's say I go to A4. I've received some A4. Someone has sent me A4 for some reason, right? How do I know it's correct? I can go into somewhere like Polygon scan and I can check that the contract that I received was this specific contract address. So that's how you can check if something is real. Now, most of the time, when you go onto a block explorer, they're going to, and if I get lucky, I might be able to see a specific, this is an actual bridge, so badge, I don't want to use this, but basically you're going to see like okay, I'm going to have to keep finding something. Actually, I'll go here this is someone's address in particular, and let me see if I can find something better. But essentially what we're expecting is that we'll see that their address is showing an in of this particular token here. You can see here, that's the contract address there, and you can double check which contract address you're seeing in particular. So that's how I would normally double check everything. Block Explorer is really, really key to managing everything. Okay, Samrat Chakraborty, how can we get support from Ledger? You can just jump onto our website here. So I would normally just even suggest support.ledger.com. You can see just the base there. And the bottom right hand side, even where I was before, there'll be a contact us button. And you can go through and double check that. You can always, of course, double check through the documentation as well. And you've got a continuation for a question as well, that you're unable to unstake magic from Polygon DApp. Okay, which I staked using MetaMask connected with my Ledger device. Okay, I since moved to a different PC and I'm unable to restore my MetaMask profile and unstake. Okay, so the first thing that I would be thinking about there would be going through and MetaMask. Connecting your ledger to MetaMask. Matic, not Magic. Okay, cool. So if you've staked it with something like MetaMask, you would normally be going back and connecting again, right? Now, my first question there would be, what address would you be getting, and would it be different to the one that you're expecting? So let's say when you connected before, you were getting 0xA, and now you're getting 0xB. Then it's about considering, okay, did I use a different recovery phrase? Did I reset that? Did I use a passphrase before and I'm not using one now and I need to add one in? Could it be that I was accidentally using the recovery phrase that's on the that was specific to MetaMask at the time? So the one that derived from the recovery phrase that MetaMask gave me as well. That would be the other thing that I would be, three main things I'd be thinking of. To be honest, most of the time I found it's depending on the specific recovery phrase that's on that MetaMask gave you, and it might be that you need to go back onto the old computer to get that recovery phrase and to send everything off and everything like that. Those would be my main thoughts there for that one, Samrat, and yeah, definitely let us know. Or let me know how you go with that in particular. My name is Stanley. I should have just gotten the Ledger Nano X. Still, no reason why you can't. I mean, I'm definitely biased and I have a multiple, right? But no reason why you couldn't with that one as well. I'll jot down your case number as well, F, and let me just pop over and pop that into my own text file, and I'll see if I can have a look at that later as well. Crypto India. Can I connect my existing Solflare to my Ledger Nano X, which I ordered yesterday? No. What I'd say is that you wouldn't just be able to connect it. What you'd be doing is actually, what we'd not recommend is inputting the recovery phrase that you're using with Solflare onto the Ledger device. And it's definitely not something we could recommend because it may not be completely secure. Now, if you want to do it, how we would normally recommend it is that I would generally have you set up the device. So I'm just going to pop that up on screen just to make sure. Ledger Nano X, let's say, for example, set up your Ledger Nano X as you would. You'd get a new 24-word recovery phrase that's derived from the device itself. And you would then send the assets from the Ledger Nano from the Solflare derived address to the Ledger Nano X derived address, and that way the recovery phrase won't have been on a computer at some point or anything like that. But as I said, it's something you can do if you did want to, or even though we don't necessarily recommend it. And then afterwards, you can actually go back and connect the Ledger device to Solflare, and then use your Ledger device to sign those transactions as well. But you wouldn't be expected. We wouldn't be expecting that. We'd be able to add specific addresses within the Ledger device and Ledger Live. I'm going to see if I can translate the next question that we have from Technoman. Let me have a look and see if I can do that. Okay, I think I saw your later translation of that as well in terms of the subtitle function, and we'll definitely mention that as well. And next up we had okay, that was Technoman. All right, Joseph Tata has a question. Is it possible to transfer more than one Binance Smart Chain token into a Binance Smart Chain account on your Ledger Nano, or only one Binance Smart Chain token is permitted to be transferred into a BSC account on a Ledger Nano? Nope, you can send as many as you like into the same address. So I think that is definitely something that I think has had some confusion before, the way that way I'll say it. Make sure you just if you send it to the same address, you'll generally be good to go from there, as long as the network is the same, and then you'll have BNB at that address to pay for transaction fees as well. All right. Yeah, we're getting up to the end of the questions here. I think we might say it's the last 15 minutes. So if you guys have any questions you want to ask, yeah, pop them into the chat. We'll try to get to answering those. If you guys think that you're out of questions or anything like that, we can always, I can always rant about something else as well. I mean, with regards to, you know, what's coming up soon or anything like that. But I think maybe I'll also mention, please don't give out your recovery phrase. That's the main thing that you should need to keep safe. Don't sign transactions you don't trust. I think part of that process would be, I think we were talking about QuickSwap as well, making sure you're interacting. If you are stepping outside of Ledger Live, that you're and you're using third-party wallets, you're using them with websites that you know are secure. You've double-checked, triple-checked, something like that. I think one of the things I was going to show you that I found out about is that one way to keep the recovery phrase safe that is actually going to be the cheapest recovery phrase storage mechanism. As you can see here, Solid HODL. Oh wow, it's already out of stock. But one way that you can keep your recovery phrase safe. I think one thing to mention is that when you're storing the recovery phrase, you actually only need the first first 4 letters, and they're going to be unique. If you guys didn't know, a little bit of trivia for you there. That would be probably the most chilling I'll do today, I think. Samrat wants to follow up on the question with the Matic. You stored the MetaMask wallet using the MetaMask recovery phrase, and you can see the stake tokens in the Polygon dApp, but the stake action always fails. In that case, it's definitely I would definitely want to check what's happening on chain. So we might go to Polygon scan here, and it might say, I mean, we don't know this transaction, but it might have like an error here, and that'd be the main thing that I'd be thinking of. Not sure if there's screen share support available. I've exhausted all Troubleshooting. Yeah, it's a bit tough because we don't do a screen share at all or anything like that. No phone support in particular. The main thing here is I would want, if I was troubleshooting this myself, I would get the transaction ID and check what's happening on chain and what's happening there. Why is the transaction failing in particular? Do I not have enough transaction fees? Do I not, what would be the other thing? Maybe it's not the right way to interact with the assets. So that's the kind of thing I'd be thinking about. Could be, yeah, it could, or I think Basarex, I'm not sure if you're commenting as well, but it could also be that it may be a scam as well. That could be another thing, and you definitely can still liaise with us about that. Definitely shoot us a case in support if you want, and we can have a look at that, even though it's not really directly ledger related. We can still always have a look at those transaction ID and just be like, yeah, this seems correct or something like that as well. Yeah, Basarex, if you have like if you're not commenting on what I was saying, you can definitely expand, and I can definitely try to answer any of the questions too. But yeah, Samrat, definitely hit us up, contact us, and let us know there. I think maybe one thing while we're on that topic then is like I don't know if not scam NFTs, because that's not going to be exactly what this would be, but I mean definitely another thing I'll actually talk about nonetheless, seeing as if there aren't any more questions, please pop them in the chat. Otherwise I'll keep talking about how to keep you guys safe. Malicious NFTs, how do they work? Why do you get them? Remember, like, your address is going to be public on chain. It's really important they might see some interaction that you might be doing, and be like, okay, this is a real person. I want to try and fish them into going to a website or something like that, so that I can try and get their money. These are scams. This one in particular is going to be asking you to go to a specific website, and then you'd input the recovery phrase from there, and that would potentially that would definitely put your funds at risks. So that's the main thing that we always mention as well. Never type your recovery phrase anywhere that isn't directly into the ledger device directly and physically. F. You got a question here. You're holding FTM. How to best amalgamate both into an Ethereum contract. So FTM. I would think about bridging your assets in particular, because I'm assuming you're holding it. You're holding it on like whatever chain. You'd want to get it on Ethereum mainnet. Then you'd want to bridge it from one network to another. You might use something like Across.2, which is Hop.exchange is what this is referring to. I've used Across.2 as well, TO. I've tried a bunch of others as well. Definitely not something like I'd recommend if you're unfamiliar with bridging. Definitely do a bit of research there, because it can be quite confusing. Why there's networks? Why can't I see? Why do I need gas on this one? And why is it so expensive? Could be all things that you might need to consider there. But that would definitely be the first thing that I'd be thinking of. FTM. FTM bridge though. Let me have a look. Seller might be one to think about there for FTM to Ethereum mainnet if you'd like. And best amalgamate them both. And yeah, that should be the main way that I'd be thinking about in particular. I'm not sure if Seller is one. It's not one that I've used in particular, but maybe send a small transaction after you've done your research there. So Samrat's come back, mentioned it's definitely not a scam for phishing. You stake the tokens myself on Polygon's app. Had to uninstall MetaMask as it was on my work computer and moved it to your personal Mac. And also thing to note, I think it's note behind a thing, that the Matic tokens are held as ERC20. So you mean they're held on Ethereum mainnet in particular? Because ERC20 is just a standard. It can be across whatever. If it's on Ethereum mainnet, then the other thing maybe I didn't think about is that your network might not be correct as well. But you should, the transaction shouldn't fail if you're not on the correct network. So again, some things I'm trying to add up all the things, and some things we're going to have to dig in more there, in particular if need be. Simon Cabral, I've downloaded Ledger Live on 2 new computers. It is different from the old download, as it does not go through the checks to see if the device is good and you have your keys. It just goes ST and then you get cut off there. The thing that checks if your device is good, quote unquote, is something that happens in a normal operation of Ledger Live actually. If you don't see it, it's not necessarily that it's not happening. You can always just go through and go through the My Ledger check, go through to My Ledger, and you might be asked to like update your device or something like that. That's where that normally happens, and that's one of the places even that's going to happen. So no need to worry about that necessarily. F. Samurai, I did see that, but yes, that sounds like we still need to dig into more detail. All right, F. Not familiar with bridging both FTM contracts held on Ledger Live. Is there a way to contract swap option available? Phantom to FTM. You mean Phantom to Ethereum or Phantom? Because Phantom would be FTM, I would have thought, but you would have to be outside of Ledger Live for most bridges. Oh, actually, no. Now that something else comes to mind, I'll double check if this is possible. We go and we get a squid. Something I've actually definitely used before. This is in the Discover section of Ledger Live in particular. We'll just check if this is there. FTM. Phantom to Ethereum mainnet. Boom. Oh, and of course, check Phantom as well. And there you go. Definitely something that's possible. You can make sure to check for how much that's going to cost and everything like that. So you can definitely try that as well. I definitely suggest doing a small amount as well, just to get a good idea too. And you can go from there. That is pretty high fee, but I think that's because it's a Ethereum mainnet in particular. But definitely, if you're doing a big amount, there could be something to consider there as well. All right, I might as well make a last call for questions if you guys have any. Sorry guys, I couldn't answer anything about all the whens or anything like that. Never something we can really be too. I don't want to get you guys' hopes up and promise anything I can't personally deliver on. But yeah, I can see if you guys have any more questions, please pop them in the chat. We're always trying to be live as much as possible. Dan is definitely live pretty often on all throughout the week on YouTube, on Twitter as well, things like that. And yeah, if there's any more questions, otherwise, yeah, we'll pop off. Look out a little early today. You can go enjoy touching grass outside, or be perpetually online and think about everything that's happening in the markets. I think one of the big things I'm thinking of going through and reading about is obviously thing that's happening with Ethereum Foundation at the moment. That's very probably has all of us in a chokehold. If not, it's just me. Obviously, market is looking very, very fun recently, and so I hope you guys are all staying safe. I guess with that being said, tune in next week and throughout the week as well, YouTube, everything like that. Please, please, please don't give out your 24 words. Don't sign any transactions you don't trust, and stay safe in the markets out there, guys. Thanks again.